So we're talking a little bit about parenthood and fatherhood as far as an entrepreneur's life. The balance between that and being an entrepreneur, is that what I'm following, that work life family balance and being a positive role model in the eyes of our children. A little bit.
Yeah, really. Yeah, really. That was one of the things I really wanted to explore, and I really want to get to the to the bottom of this because I think we're both well known. We're probably it's one of the things that probably drives both me and you is our idea to inspire people around us.
Right.
So that's something that we kind of understood. But I really want to sort of tap into about knowing that knowledge. What particularly is it that we as particularly, I really want to tap into us as being males. Because that's, I think it's something particularly about the male us, or is it? That's another question. Is this something about males? I think particularly, as I was mentioning before we went live.
Mhm.
I think we should start with that figure. 22 men from the ex-military are dying every day in the States. Now,
Yeah.
what drives that? And then that's what I'm saying. I think the entrepreneurial and being fathers is one of the white elephants in the room about this. It's one of the. I think there's a lot of males growing up and they don't have that male influence, and then they use their entrepreneurial. Just be real about this. I think a lot of the entrepreneurial skills right now is what leads to a whole why so many men particularly are in prison, because they're taking their entrepreneurial skills out into the streets and using that to sell drugs or becoming pimps or whatever they do. But that's still entrepreneurial skills, but at the moment in the system we live in, they're being put in prison for that. So it's trying to find a way of funneling that entrepreneurship into a positive area and dig into that sort of area. That's where I really want to sort of speak. I think it's something you can sort of really speak upon.
A mother, a father, someone they really, really cared about, a child, a friend, someone extra special to them, a grandmother, a grandfather. I'm here to let y'all know that they'll never be forgotten. I'm here to let them know that they'll be missed and remembered forever. This song is not only for us, this song is for them. My heart goes out and my tears go out to all those that we've lost. Love forever.
This for my family, this for my homies. This is for my friends. I promise we will remember you forever.
I remember those times, the good and bad, and I'm never gonna replace all them times we had. Now you're gone, everybody gets sad, and if I had a time machine, I swear I'd go back to the past. But I don't, let's be realistic. You went the distance, but I was going with you, I meant it. You left me, I had to send this. Why did you end this? Did you want me out of your business? Now I can't see that happening. You were my best friend, swore to be my friend to the end, like Chucky. I remember the times you hugged me, remember the times you shoved me when I wasn't right. Now I twist and turn through the night. Why shouldn't I walk through the light? If that's where you at, then why fight? I'll be a ghost tonight. Do anything just to make things right. This song is for you.
This for my family, this for my homies. This is for my friends. I promise we will remember you forever.
I ain't met nobody like you. You were unique. The only person in the street who practiced what they preach. You didn't look down on the weak, but you spoke your mind. When you said something what happened all of the time. That's why I'm writing you this rhyme, let you know that we miss you. Sometimes I feel like digging up your grave just to kiss you. I don't need tissue, need a genie so I can wish you back to this earth so then we wouldn't have this issue. Never been without you. Where you went, then I went. Half on everything though, what you spent, then I spent. Now you up in heaven and everything that you doing, I can't wait to get there so I can do the same thing. Put in the word, now I mean, to the big fella. Tell him I never been bad when we're together. But now I'm all alone in the stormy weather and I'm waiting at the crossroads like whatever been sick.
This for my family, this for my homies. This is for my friends. I promise we will remember you forever.
Everybody cope with loss in their own kind of way. I'm here to say that I'm grieving today. I wish you could call my name or wipe the tears from my face. Literally destroying the pain. And if life's a game, it ain't fun. How many lives does it take to list one? Wish I could make a new one. This old one's hurt me. I'm telling everybody, but nobody's worthy. At least when I vent, you listen from the outside to the inside. Now I stand at your grave. One of these days, I swear that I'm seeing your face. I'ma keep counting the day till I get in the place. Cause I know that they made a mistake and took the wrong spirit. Now I'm sending this up so they can hear it from everybody out here across the globe. We letting all of y'all know that we love you so much.
This is for my fam. This is for my homies. I promise we will remember you forever. This for my fam. This for my homies. This is for my friends. I promise we will remember you forever. This is for my fam. I will never forget. How could I forget?
Yeah.
Yeah, my man.
Oh man, technical difficulties left and right. I'm on my phone. That's pretty good. I don't get a phone call yet.
Dude, that's what I love about this kind of thing. It's more proof that we're doing it live, and it's great. It's another excuse to play a great tune. So don't worry about it. But man, while we have got this thing, I mean, that's something I really wanted to sort of speak upon. Really, was that kind of what that track really related to? Really, was the amount of male, suicides that are going on and death, and how we as entrepreneurs and the ones that can create, what we can do about, and really, and I think the other sort of really. I really want to sort of tackle is what's led to this. What in your mind has led to this point where we have got this situation, and again, and it's a two-pronged attack. What's led to this, and what can we do as entrepreneurs to sort of maybe sort of tackle this big white elephant that's in the room?
Well, to address your first question as far as what's led to all of the chaos, especially with concerning males nowadays, in my personal opinion, I'd have to say that a lot of it has to do with the abuse of technology today. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to be on this podcast sounding like someone that is against technology, because I'm absolutely not in any way, shape, or form. I think that the strides that we have made in technology nowadays and the advancements that has been made has been wonderful. But I think in the transition of the idea of trying to create more efficient manners and ways of doing things, we as a society, as human beings, are beginning to lose the basic principles of hard work and being able to overcome opposition. So we've set up, in some ways, if we're not working with our eyes wide open, we're setting ourselves up for failure. Nowadays, I can pick up. I have a phone in my pocket. Everybody has a cell phone in their pocket. So what happens is, if you think back even 15 years ago, if you wanted to call somebody, or if you wanted to get in touch with somebody, you had to wait. You had to wait for an opportune time. You'd call their house, the answer machine would answer, you'd leave a message, and maybe they'd call you back later on that day. Nowadays, we have our cell phones in our pocket, and we make one phone call, and we're like, why is this person not picking up their phone? Waking up with the phone, 30 seconds later, we're calling back. We expect everything to be instant, everything to be right away. And I think with that expectation and with the advancements in technology, it is forcing us to become a little less patient with each other, first of all, and a little less patient with the process. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship, is that one of the number one things you're taught as an entrepreneur is that anything that's good or anything that's great or anything that's worth building, it takes time and it takes patience. It has to develop. So by people who are not even entrepreneurs developing an entrepreneur mindset, then we will understand that everything's not going to happen for you in a day. Everything may not happen for you in a couple of years. It may take 10 years. It may take 15 years. It may take 20 years. But it's going to happen as long as you stay focused on the course and you duck your head and you go through whatever it takes to get to your goals. And again, reverting back to your question, is I feel like in today's society, especially with males, we are becoming, for lack of a better word, soft. There's no more males that are out there that are working 18 hours a day with their bare hands building something. And the ones that are, they're relics, they're dinosaurs, they're quote unquote old school. Nowadays it's using the fanciest of tools or the top notch of equipment or this, that, and the other. And that's okay. And that's completely understandable, but there still has to be some sort of understanding in the value of hard work and being able to create something masterful through time. And because we're losing that, especially with the youth. I mean, I have 3 boys myself. So even with my kids, I want them to understand that good things take time. We have to have patience, and we have to continue to develop that inner strength in order to battle through society, especially in today's society. Competition is so much greater nowadays than it has ever been. And the ability to overcome opposition is a lot more difficult now because there are so many people that are much more self-centered and more absorbed in themselves in today's world than it was, in the days of yesterday, where you were taught to love thy neighbor, to take care of each other, to look out for somebody, whether they were kin to you or not. So again, I don't aim to blame technology in its entirety. I just feel like there's a message that or a sense of duty, honor, responsibility that we as males are losing as we continue to develop in society.
I would completely concur with you, and I think the two. I think you've spoken upon the two that they really concur, and I think they have overlapped, and I think that's. I think for a perfect example, I think that weak mindset that you speak upon is definitely grown upon this exactly what you spoke upon, as in the ability we've all got to connect. Because the thing you see about Twitter and social media particularly is giving everybody a green light. It's everybody's got a green light to be, oh, that's upset me. Bang! I'm gonna go for it. It's a green light.
Right.
And everybody's got this green light and the power to just go nuclear at the first opportunity they feel offended. And with that, see, this is what I'm saying. It's demasculated the male. So now that we've got this whole culture that's basically said, well, males can't be what they are. Any male traits at a young age, and there's countless stories. I mean, there's stories. There's constant. I mean, there's stories over and over again where you hear about, kids, young little boy goes to school, goes like that with his fingers. Next thing you know, he's suspended for 6 weeks because he was being aggressive, making a gun sign. It's so then that's on one side, and that's all being strengthened by this whole, like you said, social media. But this is the difficult questions that I really want to tackle onto. We don't want to get to the point where we will go, okay, well, we're going to stop here, because we can't say, well, we're going to put an end to technology and say that's it. We're both agreed on that principle. So absolutely. Technology in itself is a neutral. I think we probably both concur on that it's what we do with it. So it's then trying to work out, okay, this is the point. We understand that this technology as it is at the moment is being used to facilitate this, as you would call it, and I would probably concur, weak mindset amongst people. It's okay. So how do we get across to the males and go, okay, regardless of this of the issue that's here at the moment, like you said, this is what it's like to be a male. Now I'm the same as you. Now my son now is in his mid-20s, and I was fortunate enough, and I think that's one of the things that kind of really function me. And I think it's lacking in a lot now, and I think that's understandable because of the conditions we live in. But I was fortunate enough to go and take him to other parts of the world. I went down to Argentina, and that, wow, then you really do get a grasp of like you were speaking about how easy we've all got it. We've all got it too easy. And once you realize that, but then the thing is, you don't need to travel to South America. You need to just go. I'm sure where you live, I'm sure if you travel 10 miles within your system conditions, you know what I mean? But the trouble is, it's like people will know that. And as I was saying before we went live, the males that are probably being suppressed by that, what their entrepreneurial stuff is being rising will get them landed in jail most likely. So we've got to find ways of using that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of the masculine elements are there, and I don't think can be suppressed. I think what's happened is they all this entrepreneurial happens, and then they're in jail because that stuff is deemed illegal. But it's still that skill, that the skill that the average, let's be real about this, the skill of the average drug dealer who's out there peddling his stuff, is if that could be harnessed and not used to put a stuff in that's harming a human being, but could be used to elevate the human spirit, that's immense mental power these guys are using. So he's trying to find out, this is where we step in and thinking, how can we change these people from making that their soul, their purpose, than that. I understand that these guys they're wanting to. I will speak from my behalf, and I want to hear your perspective on it. I think the average drug dealer on the corner of the street, his drive is to make money, to get himself out of the situation so he can rise out and make a better life for himself. That's the main drive what he does. He sees money as a way to get it, and it's the easiest way to get money. So money is a way to elevate yourself out of the situation, to make yourself better so you can fulfill your desires. That's what he's doing. If there's a way of just making that middle track where we go, okay, instead of that, what you're doing, that all that skill, all that time, all that effort you're doing in selling a drug that's going to harm another being, and we can make that something else, that's a great win for us. I think it's a great win for the human species. It's how do we swap those two? And now I've spoken upon it here, being a white guy growing up on this part of the world. I really want to speak to someone over in America who's growing up from your perspective, and I want to hear what you have thought about this, because this is how we crunch away at this, and this is how we can chip away at this big white elephant in the room.
Absolutely. Exactly what you're saying, Tim. This is the exact reason why I've created the Entrepreneurs Clique. So to answer your question, how do we battle the the idea of men channeling their masculinity in the wrong direction and chasing and pursuing the negatives, we create a positive light through entrepreneurship. And I think that that's something that has already been put in motion. I mean, one of the benefits of technology nowadays and social media is that messages are spread a lot faster. And there are groups that can get together and work hand in hand to carry those messages even further. So again, with the Entrepreneurs Clique, that's the exact focus. We focus on young talented people, or even kids that are not too talented, and we try to show them how to focus all their energy into developing themselves as a brand or developing their own brand or company. Perfect example of that is Kevin Chinette, BKO. I don't know, he's been on one of your episodes, and not that Kevin was ever in any trouble or anything like that, but when I first met Kevin, he was a great kid and he had an idea and he had something that he wanted to run with. And through him, I've developed a model of how I would like to take the youth that really don't have direction or don't have guidance, and show them how, just through hard work, through a little bit of sweat and a little bit of creativity, especially in today's day, in today's society, with technology being so great as it is. I mean, for a couple of bucks, you can build a great website, you can reach out to markets across the globe, and you can create a business. Now, again, I'm not going to tell a kid that he can be a millionaire overnight. It's still going to take hard work. It's still going to take dedication. There's still going to be some of the brokest days he or she has ever experienced, but they'll have a purpose. And I think that is the number one antidote to the problem, is by giving a man purpose. So most of these men out there that are selling drugs or guns or whatever, yeah, there is a pursuit of money, but I don't believe that's the reason, because there are some guys out there that have been selling drugs for a long time and they make a lot of money and they've had plenty of opportunities to get out, and they don't. Why? Because they believe that they have found their purpose. So again, I feel like being an entrepreneur and entrepreneurship is definitely a way to battle all that, simply by taking away the idea of go out there to build a business to make money, or go out there to build a brand to build money. No, find a purpose, find a reason why you want to exist, find a reason why you want to create, find something that you want to create, and find a way that you can assist your fellow man and feel good about that. So like I said, to answer your question, I believe by focusing more on the principles and giving a man purpose, you'll be far more effective than just showing them how to make money.
No, that's a fascinating avenue you've spoken upon. I think I want to linger on that. You mentioned it wasn't the drive; it was the purpose. So, was the purpose of? Well, you're not going to know the mindset, but is that purpose that's been drip fed into them? Was that circumstance? Was that their childhood? Why would a male go through the same experiences as someone else in the same neighborhood, and that becomes their purpose? And on the other hand, we can point to many entrepreneurs and many, inspiring people like Kevin and yourself, and I could point to many people. I'm sure you could. So what when you said that, that was seen as their purpose, was that something, did you think that's been nurtured into them, and if so, where down the chain can we start to chip away at that point? Because as you said, I mean, if it's purpose, then that's a mindset, and we can change that mindset.
Absolutely. Mentorship, that's what it comes down to. You can have 1,000,001 kids, whether they're in the hood or whether they're born into wealthy homes. If they don't have proper mentorship and guidance, then they're never going to find that sense of purpose. So again, there's a large focus when you look at the urban community. You say that there's a lot of problem children there. Well, I mean, in the upper class homes, there are a lot of problem children too, a lot.
And so it has nothing, again, it just goes to show that it has nothing to do with money. It's about the guidance and mentorship that is delivered to a child at a young age. And for me specifically, growing up, you know, I grew up in a split household. You know, my parents were never married, and my mother was, you know, I speak as if she did. My mother is a great woman, and my father is a great person on his own, but they shared very, very different opinions on how life should be led. But my father was a true blue entrepreneur at heart, and I would listen to him a little bit. And my mother, she was more of a, you know, work a 9-to-5 W-2 type of person. I would listen to her a little bit, and it got to the point when I was at an age where I could discover books for myself and videos and all the great wealth of knowledge that's out there, like the Tony Robbins and the there's a million of them. I can list a million of them, but there's so many entrepreneurs out there that anybody nowadays with a cell phone can reach out to. And I think that's what's important nowadays. And that's, again, not to toot the horn of technology now, but I think that's something that's important too, is the ability to go out there and gain knowledge. So people, you know, young people that are able to watch this podcast, or people that are able to go out there and catch a video by Gary Vee or an Andy Frisella. That's the plus with social media now, is that the ability to have a mentor, whether he or she is physical or not, is there. And I can recall, you know, 5 or 6 gentlemen in my life that really took the time to take me under their wing and educate me as I was growing through life. And they weren't related to me. They weren't, you know, they didn't owe me anything. There were no blood. They just saw a kid that had a lot of ambition, who wanted to do something. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do something. And so they took me under their wing. So again, mentorship is key. You know, it's an important factor in the development of the youth today. And I feel like there's, again, so much information flowing freely nowadays that some of the kids are missing the point. And even some of the young adults are missing the points, and they're not getting to the basis of it. So again, if we can find a way to be more efficient and more potent with our message and deliver it directly to the people that need to hear it on a consistent basis, I believe that will help turn the tides on what's going on. It'll help men become men again. And you listen, you can go and you can research, you know, self-help for men and any search engine, and you will find 150 different types of organizations right now that are specifically focused on what we're talking about, because it is an issue. It is. Males are forgetting how to be males, and even worse than that, we're not teaching our sons how to be males.
Yeah.
So we have to directly attack that with an entrepreneurial spirit and an open heart.
Yeah, I think what you're speaking upon, and I think this is like I say, I think this is one of the great things about the technology and the times we live in. We have that ability, as you spoke upon, to connect and have wider connections, and that works. This be real. This works on a really human connection, on a human level, because it works on both levels. If you're, like you said, you spoke about when you were a young man and you had those people you could look up to, and like you said quite eloquently, we live in a time where we can reach out wide and have that. But equally, from you know, when you get to, you know, my age and your age, and you've gone through some life journeys, there's nothing to me more rewarding when you give some of the knowledge of what some of the knowledge you've gained from the experiences you've been with, and, you know, give that to someone else and guide them through it. And I just want to speak upon today particularly. I mean, I knew a kid. This is a perfect example. You know, I met him when he had landed in the UK. He landed back from Congo. He'd seen. I don't want to go into his whole story because it's not really relevant, particularly relevant. But, you know, he'd seen one of his parents killed by the opposite tribe in Congo. Came, long story short, arrived in England. There he was, you know, just arrived with just his sister, you know, dumped into this whole state, which is another hilarious thing about the system over here. They put him, because he was from Congo, and the whole Congo War Department. They put him because this is when you realise how racist the world is in that sense, how mindset people are in. They went, okay, we'll put them all into a black, as we call them, neighbourhood. So he ended up basically living in one set of terraced houses, and on the backing onto him was all the other lot from the warlords who killed his family. So every day he's walking to school, having to pass the, you know, people who were the opposition. Anyway, he come from all that experience, was dumped in this, like I'm saying, this be real bad, it's a shithole. But today there he was on Facebook, graduating from university, and I thought, okay, do you know? It is awesome, because you know what's great about this, and it relates to what you were speaking upon about mentors and stuff like this. This is all about where we live in, the culture we're in now, and I think it's an important part where, as I was saying, we as older men can experience and relate this. It was always the thing I always had. The conversations I used to have was the real conversations. The conversations he was never going to get, because he obviously didn't have any male role model in his life. He wasn't going to get it on TV. He wasn't going to get it at school. And it was just the real conversations, you know, the real conversations that men have to, you know, as you would have with your son. It's not the, oh, look, son, this is how. It's not the birds and bees and this. No, it's the real conversations about, look, if you're going to do this, do that. And this is where I think. I think it's really important. We have the tools in our hands, and this is where the people like yourself and myself and other people, and I think particularly males, need to step up and go, we have these tools in our hands. Let's put out these positive messages, and equally have real conversations. And that's what I love about these kind of conversations, because they're real. And you won't hear this on NBC, NBSC, or CNN, or, you know, and it needs to happen, because. Do you know the thing is, and that relates back to what you were saying about, you know, your father. Now, your father was like that, and it relates to really, like I've seen this world. The conversation you were relating to, and what we're relating to about how we're talking about masculinity and males, mate. If you go to 5, 6 of this world right now, if you landed in Africa, or you landed in Indonesia, or you landed in, mate, they don't have this problem. This is what's always fascinated me. We've got this whole mental illness problem amongst males particularly, but yet in Africa they do it in a completely opposite way, and yet they don't have mental illness problems. They just have men that grow up and become men. And that's fascinating to me, because we over here would go, oh, that's so primitive, and it's so, but they deal with it. And they deal with it by having men go through initiation ceremonies and appreciating going and building a house, or hunting down an animal, or, like you spoke upon, actually not the goal or something, but the actual step-by-step process of getting that, whether it's hunting down an animal or building a house. And we seem to have fled away from all of this and seen that it's primitive. And I think, are there things to be learned from all this? Because a lot of the world don't have all the mental male problems that we do in our parts of the world.
I have to agree with you. I think you touched a key point there, and that was as people, or as society, as we evolve, we tend to complicate things. So go to the corner and you ask the guy, hey, how do I get to Smith Street? This guy will say the street left or right, and they're here, and blah, 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 blah. So that guy can either tell you directly how to get there, or he can point out every little thing that's going on the way there. And I think at times we've developed a sense of, rather than just saying, what is my purpose? What is my cause? How do I get there? We focus on little things that don't matter. Somebody said hello the wrong way. I didn't appreciate this person's attitude. And we get puffed up with pride because you hit it on the head. We're so out of the norm of being just regular Joe Schmoes that everybody wants to be these, you know, puffed up, well-recognized superstars. I mean, you've got reality TV, you've got the ability to go live anytime you want. And I'm not driving in that stuff because I do live videos for my group, and I have my Instagram audience and the whole 9 yards, and that's great. But I think that a lot of people today allow that to go to their heads, and they think they're superstars. And there's a huge lack of humility in 90% of the human population nowadays. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being famous, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being financially independent or having a lot of money, because there are a lot of people out there that have a lot of money, but they are the realest people you ever meet. They still drink beer, put their jeans on, and they go out and they have a great day, and they're polite to people, and they're not going to take no shit, but at the same time they're going to give it the respect that's deserved, and that's it. So I think that we really need to start focusing on our inner selves. I mean, again, my journey as an entrepreneur started when I was in 4th grade, and it's been going ever since then. And I'm not going to toot my own horn and say that I've accomplished really anything, because I don't believe that as an entrepreneur you can have accomplishments. I believe that as an entrepreneur, your goal is to contribute and give as much as you can. My company, my small company that we run, we have a handful of guys that work hard day in and day out, and they're able to make a paycheck, feed their families, and enjoy life and grow along with the process of this company growing. That makes me feel good. I mean, that's me doing my part, contributing to this world. And I think that a lot of not just Americans, I take that back. I think a lot of human beings nowadays are losing sight of the fact that we are supposed to contribute. We are made to give. That's why we're here. That's our purpose. It's not to take, it's to give. Because if everybody gave, then we all would have enough. There's a I'm probably going to butcher this, but there's a proverb or a parable, a story where this man, he visits an angel in a dream. The angel takes him to 2 doors, and he opens the first door, and there are these people that are sitting on a picnic bench with spoons replacing their hands, and there's this huge pot of food that's boiling over, and it smells really good. But all these people, they're so skinny and they're sickly from starvation, because the way the spoons are designed, they can't get the spoons to their mouths. So the angel closes that door, and then he opens the second door. And in the second door, it's the same situation. There's few people in there. They have spoons replacing their hands, but the pot is empty and they're full. So the man says to the angel, I don't get it. The angel says, the people in the first door, they starved to death because they're trying to feed themselves. The people in the second room, they're full because they fed each other. So that's the way life is supposed to be. If we looked out for each other, and if we took care of each other, and I'm not going on this excuse my, for lack of better words, this hippie, free love experience. Mm-hmm. That's not what it is. There's just a level of decency and respect and compassion that every human being and every man should have for each other. And that's being lost. And it's dwindling very, very, very fast. The guys that work, I don't even say they work for me, the guys that work with me, they're family. They've eaten off the same plates that I've eaten off of. They've been in my home. They've slept in my home. We share everything because we're a family when it really comes down to it. Do they get on my last nerve sometimes? Absolutely. But that's what family's for, So, we're not the wealthiest people in the world, but we're rich in love and compassion, and we do have dreams and goals to have financial freedom, but that'll come over time. And that'll come through us making sure that we take care of everybody that's in our path. You know, Zig Ziglar is one of my most favorite mentors or salespeople or motivational speakers ever. Zig Ziglar, he always used to say that you can have anything in life that you want as long if you're willing to help enough people get whatever they want. And it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, and I think one of the things of a real, I think, separates a real entrepreneur mind from the norm of the herd, and you were speaking upon it then, is the ability to, and I try to do it once a year at a minimum, is change my mind on something. Look at everything I go and go, oh, okay, what am I solid on? And because then you get out of this beliefs mindset, and that leads to the world we live in, because where, you know, one solution fits everybody's, and it's not the answer. And that's what I think separates the mindset, which is such a freeing thing for the human being to say, look, do you know what? The answer only is in you. Don't listen to Joseph. Don't listen to me, Joseph. I don't know anything, but you will have the answer. You'll know. And that's one of the things that's so empowering about the entrepreneurial mind, that gets lost in this. There's one answer to everything, solution to a thing. And that's why I think it's great that this, like you said, this entrepreneurial mindset starts to rise, because I think what you were just speaking about then, about, like you said, the idea of the family and stuff like that, that's been lost with this whole idea of, an example of this is cities, which is all this, you know, again, one solution, one mindset. We put every human being together. We put them around a time clock, and what we're seeing now with the, like you were speaking of, with the internet, we've got this ability to grow wider families. We're almost entering an era of virtual communities and virtual families, and it's very inspiring times. And this is the thing. This is where as we were speaking about the whole of this conversation. We speak about this, and we've got the tools in our hands, and it's now down to what we do with the tools in our hands. And that's what I'm saying, because technology is neutral, and it's what we do with the, like you say, these family connections. And I think this is one of the, I don't know, I think it's crucial that the real mindset that we've got, you know, like I say, it's a real entrepreneur mindset, is that ability to change your mind, to always be questioning. And it's like, I think one of the things, like you said, when you live in you were speaking about, you know, when you live in a situation where you've got, it's the same if you're in a band or you're doing anything where you've got a group of people and you're all on, you know, living each other, you're on a boat, say, and you've got to cross the ocean, you're all going to be, there's going to be times when you're literally getting completely, you know, crew, you know, absolutely raging with your crew. But the point about doing that is, like you said, you learn humility, and these are the lessons that can be learned, this humility, by changing your mind, because the pride only comes from, like, no, I've got my fixed mindset, that's it, I have all the answers, and boom, and then that, you know, then you become prideful. And this is the thing, that because you've got this one world answer to everything, we live in an environment where it's very easy, and like you spoke upon it, in this social media, to go, no, I've got my answer, I'm going to go out on social media, find other people who agree with my answer, we'll all hit the green light at the same time, and like you said, then we have this pride going on. And what we need to do, which we've lacked in this world of all being in our little boxes and social media, we've all lost this human connection. But that's not the fault of, like I say, that's not the fault of technology. And we can use both, and to sort of go, oh, well, like you were speaking, we can't just cave into technology and go, oh, well, that's now lost to those people. No, we've got to, maybe that's a battle we've got to do, rise up, use that technology to make these family units stronger, which I keep speaking about. This is only an issue in our part of the world. In everywhere else in the world, they live in tribes of 150 people, and they've got it sussed. They don't have any of these issues. They don't have mental, you know, 15-year-old guys walking around with pink toenails, worrying about their sexuality and what gender am I today. They don't have those kind of issues over there, man. They haven't got the time to. They live in the real world. We've only got this weak mindset because of all the constructs that surround us that really, as we know, are all illusions, and they could crumble at any moment. And your dad will know about that. Go 2 generations back, go 5 generations back, dude. That's it, and that can happen at any point.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely correct. And I think a good book that talks specifically about what we're speaking on, it's called The Third Circle Theory. It's an amazing book, and the first name of the author is Pejman, but I cannot pronounce his last name. I'm not even going to try, but it's called The Third Circle Theory, and it's a great book. But it's more on the focus of who we are as individuals and how we're able to hold ourselves accountable for what we're doing. You know, it's a book that is designed to educate an individual on basically checking yourself every day and saying, am I doing, you know, the right thing here? Am I really pursuing my goals and my dreams? Am I really being of service? Am I really serving a purpose to my community, my society, and my organization? And, you know, again, with the access of social media and everything that is right at our fingertips nowadays, I think that the initial intent when social media started to blossom and grow was a positive one. It wasn't supposed to be this negative ball of anger and frustration. It was more designed of saying, hey, how can we make the world a warmer place? How can we bring people closer together? You know, that's the whole purpose of the internet. That's the whole purpose of social media. But the problem is, and the issue that I personally believe is that anybody that really has something of value to say, they're not going to take the time to post it on a Facebook page. They're going to reach out to those that they can see, smell, taste, and touch first and grow that organization on a local level. And then from that local level, it will start to trickle into Facebook or whatever social media outlets are out there. But it's the message is diluted and watered down because it's not coming from the original source. And the original source, like you said, is that person that's down to earth, really not recognizes that all this social media outlets are not a real world. They're just virtual reality. And they don't have time for that. So I think the real challenge for us is to find a way to bring that person, that light, that ray of sunshine into the technological world and figure out a way to create a pure form of communication, because that doesn't happen in social media. Anybody at any time can be anything they want on social media. I could go out, rent a Ferrari, go park in front of somebody else's mansion, take a couple of pictures and a video, and boom, I'm an instant millionaire on social media. You know, nobody's got to know nothing. I can go cash my paycheck and take whatever, you know, 2 $100 bills and a stack of ones and wrap it all up, and now I'm balling. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of people out there who have taken advantage of that, and that also puts anybody who does have an opening ear, or anybody who is willing to listen to a pure message, they're on guard now because they've already been tricked and fooled and taken advantage of beforehand. So the beautiful thing is that all of this that's going on right now is very, very young. It's still very, very fresh and very, very new. So there's plenty of time and opportunity to change and adjust and develop new outlets to create a better system. You know, just simply with what you're doing. I think that the system that you guys are creating and working on is just mind-blowing. It really is. So to answer the question, how we solve the problem is we keep having these discussions. We keep bouncing ideas off of each other, and we keep pushing to become a larger influence and a louder voice than the voice of negativity and anguish that's being put out there.
Yeah, and do you know what I think? And I have seen, and I'm quite happy to say this. I speak from the guy who's in, you know, I've been down this path a long time, or this journey we call life. And I think one of the ones I found it's almost like a constant wake up to when anyone I speak to, the millennial, anyone born that millennial generation, I say to them, do you realize that all the stuff you've got is going to be left? Now, I always use the analogy. I mean, okay, you know, I speak again when I lived in Argentina. When I went to Argentina, there was plenty of Germans all living down there who all fled after the Second World War, and then they all got to Argentina and go, "Oh, yeah, I was just oppressed, and I tried to escape, and I was one of the good guys, and look at me," because they had the ability to tear up their passports, tear up all their stuff, and make out they were a victim of it all. Great, brilliant, well done, excellent. You know, you got away with it. This generation, as I say to every millennial, this stuff is up there for good, and it's owned by Facebook, it's owned by Twitter, for good. And all the crap they put out, I look at my son at times and think, I wouldn't want to be. I feel it's a really hard battle for anybody in that being in that 20s, because in our 20s, yeah, you're right. You're in your 20s. You make, man. If Twitter had been around when I was in my 20s, oh man, some of the stuff I did in my 20s, you know, I would have been the same. I would have been posting every time I got, you know, took a bottle of whiskey and all that, and every time I was, you know, and this is. And what I try to say to kids, and I say to particularly to that pre-millennial generation, I say to them, look, all the stuff you're putting up there is going to be left forever and ever and ever. So be very, very careful, because, as you know, I mean, we're old enough to remember, you know, in the 80s, and this, you know, it was all right to walk around and call people this and that, and it was all quite acceptable because that was the current paradigm of the time. And then we changed, and then we wouldn't even dare to call people like that now. And this is what I say to people: the stuff they put out, be careful, because it's either going to go two ways. There's either going to be a dark dystopia where their world comes true, and they're going to become the new heroes of the world, and all that sickness comes true. Or do you think in that new world all them people are going to survive? No. But if it doesn't come true, all the stuff you're putting out now, like you're talking about, all that negativity, one generation, 10 years down the line, people are going to look back and go, Dad, why weren't you in 2016? Why weren't you putting your head above the parapet? Why were you just on the internet giving it this? Why weren't you and don't you think the kids are going to question them? And I say that to kids now, and they're like, oh yeah, I better be aware of what I do, because they've just grown up with this mindset of like, oh, well, I can put all my, and it's this mindset which I think I'm sure it's the same over in America where you are, but over here you try to speak to anybody, and I think it's just generally not even a generation. We've all lost, and we're losing it day by day. This idea of privacy, that's just all gone out the window. We put everything out there, and it's like, whoa, wait. This is some sort of weird communist dream. We don't all live in glass houses, and nor do I desire to. We have that privacy thing. But this is what I'm saying. You put that mindset along with the idea of like you said, this power of nuclear bomb of social media, and this mindset, and bang. But hey, we can fight that back by just saying to people, let's put the positive things out, because if we've got the same nuclear bomb, instead of putting negativity out, we're putting positivity out. Man, do you know my example of that is? Rap music. I was like I say, I'm a white skinny guy growing up in England, and I'm listening to Wu-Tang Clan. I'm listening to Grave Diggers, and I'm going Nas and Big L and stuff like that. And I'm a kid in England, and it's inspiring me. So this is what I'm saying. We have the ability, and it's been proven. So it's what we do with our this like you said, this nuclear bomb of technology is what we do with it, because it's only a neutral. It's only what we do with it as human beings.
That's right. No, I wholeheartedly agree. You're exactly right. The idea of privacy. Wow. I think that all began, to be honest with you, with reality TV. If you really think about it, I mean, even before technology got to where it was, I mean, there was something that kickstarted this whole principle before even social media and technology got involved. So I feel like when reality TV at its peak, when it started to get to the point where they were in everybody's corner and door, social media has taken that principle and that idea, and they put it in the hands of every individual, and it's become such a routine now, and something that's so much of the norm that people don't think about it. Every time any one of these social media outlets has an update and you agree to terms, how many people actually read what those terms are? Very few. Nobody reads, where Facebook says that. I got you, Tim. I got you there.
Okay.
Nobody reads where they're able to, where they say, that they're able to post on your behalf during certain things, or or turn on your microphones or whatever, because we're so brainwashed and so comfortable with the idea that this is the way of life that we just bowl through it. We just go right along with it. So you're absolutely right. And that idea and that principle of allowing a third party into your home, into where your family is I think part of the reason why our morals are becoming a little dumbed down, a little lax, or a little more relaxed with the idea of, family and privacy. And you're absolutely right. And, even I can remember a time where when I was living with my mom, if the phone rang after 9 p.m., whoever was on the end of that phone better be dying. They better be dying. Plain blank. There was no, hey, I just wanted to see what you're doing, or having a conversation after 9 p.m. You just don't do that. That's family time. Whatever it is that you need to know or need can wait until tomorrow if it's not a life or death emergency. Nowadays, my phone will go off 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. It does, you know what I mean? And that's the norm. And it's even something for me. I'm just like, oh, well, that's what it is. We've become so accepting of barriers being pushed that we no longer know, it's no longer black and white. Everything's gray now. Everything is gray. There's no right or wrong. There's no justice. It's just simply, if you can plead your case and prove it to be what it is, and that's what it is. So again, I think that in order to get past that point and to recreate structure, first everybody has to start with themselves. Big fan of Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, right? You've got to start questioning what your own principles are, and you have to lead by example. I'm far from a perfect man, far from even being anywhere near disciplined as I want to be in life. But I know that there are eyes on me, young adults that watch the moves that I make, and they observe what I do on a day-to-day basis. And because of that, I know that I need to continue to grow every day better and stronger, and educate myself and find new mentors and stronger mentors to help me get to that next level. And I personally feel as long as I do that, then the young men that watch me and that listen to me and that are walking behind in the path that I lead, they're going to want to do that. They're going to want to continue to grow and get better and get smarter and develop morals and become stronger. And that's how we win. It's not a battle. It's a war. It's something that's going to take time and effort and pain and laughter and fun at the same time. It's these conversations over and over again with multiple people in multiple zip codes in multiple countries, all across the globe, and watching it have effect on one person, and then having effect on 2 people, and then 4, and then 8, and then 100, then 1,000, then 100,000, then 1,000,000, then 1,000,000,000. So it's a struggle. It's a day-end struggle. And it's like I told you before, we have strong family goals in my household. Some of those goals that I have, I know they will never be obtained in my lifetime. But I am the man that I'm working to set the precipice or the stepping stone, so that the next generation, my children, can continue to carry that torch. And then their kids can carry that torch and continue to carry that torch. So I believe it's the same principles of what we have as far as the morals and the morale of this world. There's a lot of people that feel like the world cannot bounce back from where it's at. There are people that are just convinced we're just going to hell in a handbasket. That's it. So party it up, live it up, or enjoy it while it lasts. I personally don't believe that. I believe that mankind is too resilient, too smart, and too hungry for life to ever allow it to become extinct. Maybe it won't be on this planet, maybe it'll be another planet, but it will always be. So with that being said, there's no reason why we shouldn't start a movement now to bring back decency, respect, honor, and men being men. You know what I mean?
Yep. You're damn right, man. And this is the very essence of why these conversations are the great thing. Because do you know what? This is what I've always seen from a. It's never ever gone away from me. As the older I've got in my life, is that we live in a world where there are barriers put between us as human beings. And the reason why they put, I always kind of like, okay, I'm seeing barriers all my life. And then I think, okay, why were they putting barriers? And do you know what they put barriers there for? Because they don't want us having these kind of conversations. Because once you do, you're like, oh, do you know what? We all think exactly the same. We may differ on the small minutiae of life. Great, we can deal with them. Can we sort out the 99% of the stuff that we all agree on? Because that's all they're dividing us. And once that's the awakening bit, and it all ties in with what you were speaking of on. Because in some ways, you don't need social media for that. It's all about what you do in yourself. It speaks about, that's what the empowering thing about what. The whole word entrepreneur, doing it for yourself, and that is such a powerful message to give to people. And this is what I don't know. I'm at that point. I mean, you were speaking then about how being at that point, and I look back and think, man, I'm okay. I'm at this point in my life. When I was in my 20s, everyone I knew was rebelling against society. Now the rebellion is bigger government, more protection, more. You think, what's happened to the generation? Yeah. And this is where I'm saying, and I think it all came from this whole idea is when the minute we got away from of this whole idea of. It's not us who do anything. It's someone else. Just hand everything over to someone else. Hand it over to corporation. Let's hand it over to the government. Let's hand it over to this, to that. And like you say, then but it's like you mentioned, it's the entrepreneurs that got us to this point. And I'm not talking about, do you know the entrepreneurs? They're not the ones who, like you say, they're not the ones who make the money. They're not the ones who are Bill Gates. They're great. They're entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs is, like you say, the fact that we've all got here, like your father, your father's father, your guy, and you want to go back, you know what I mean? We'll all go back 6, 8, 7 generations, go back to 100 years. They're the entrepreneurs are the ones that reason we're alive. Because you had to be an entrepreneur. I mean, it's almost like a kind of a word definition of our point of our life. Because you went back 300 years ago or 100 years ago, entrepreneur, that's called life, man. Because if you're not, you're going to be dead by the time you're 30. It's weird. Because this is where I'm saying we're at this point with all this knowledge in our hands. We're going to strip this away. Great. This is what the knowledge of the internet does. But as you said, when it always breaks down to, like a lot of things in life, whether you've got all this knowledge and all that, it all breaks down to what you're doing is your life, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Because if you're living a positive life and living the life you'll live, you're inspired. And before you know it, me and you are connecting and chatting and speaking. And before you know it, someone else. And I know for a fact you're inspiring people you're never going to meet. You're never going to meet that guy in Iceland who listens to this conversation. He's like, oh yeah, that sparked a thought of. You're never going to meet those people, and that's the power of what we do. And this is what I swear the rappers in the 80s understood it. I swear the blues guys in the 30s understood it. I swear the artists in the 90s. We've always understood this. The power that we've got of not only the medium and whether it's a printing press or the canvas or the record or the CD. It's the power of us as individuals, like you said, the entrepreneurial spirit, and being able to stand up and say, do you know what? I'm a human being, and I'm living my life on this rock while I've got it. And do you know what? It doesn't matter as long as I'm not harming anybody, as long as I'm being the best I can. It's all a part of the ride, and that is what we were speaking about before. There's nothing. It's all about winning and losing, and hey, all the time when it really breaks down to, which is going back to the theme of this conversation. All the time we're doing this, and all the time you've got something, like you said, an intent you're going forward to. Great, because you're living, and it's not till, like everybody does, those moments when somebody they know will die under, for whatever circumstances. And dude, I've been to enough funerals of friends of mine who have committed suicide, and I'm sick of hearing the same thing. You go to a funeral and they're like, "Oh man, this is putting a real reflection on my life, and I'm going to change my life from this moment on. And why do I spend my time working 9 to 5 in the office and doing all this stuff?" And and they think, "Oh, that's great." And then you go back and you see them 6 months later. They're there on Facebook putting, "Oh, I've had my toast on cheese." They're giving you whatever they're eating, and nothing has changed. And you think, do you think you're going to escape death? Do you think you're immortal? And it goes back to what you were saying earlier on. There's that pride building in. They think they're going to escape death. And if you've got that in your mind, which is what I love about having kids, love about just opening your eyes and seeing people around you and you think, oh, Mortalities are everywhere. Mortalities everywhere. That's what makes me humble. This is where that mindset starts from. And if that is what I loved about the rappers back in the day, they all speaking from the street, speaking from the idea of. That's what I loved about the music I love. That's what about the films I love. They were speaking real. And this is the point. Real conversations were powerful in the 80s, they were powerful in the 1690s, and they're going to be powerful now. Just because we haven't got large audiences doesn't matter. We're just ahead of our time, maybe, but this is the power of what we've got, and this is what I think is really inspiring. Whether you're my age, someone's older than me, but particularly your sons, anyone in that generation, the Kevins and that. I would love to have been in my 20s and known I've got a tool in my hand where I can go globally reach. That to me would have blown my head at 20.
Exactly right. And you hit it right on the head as far as I think that there are a lot of people out there nowadays that really don't truly understand what it means to be an entrepreneur. With social media and the internet, they've in my opinion, they polluted the idea of what entrepreneurship is about. You see these guys with the fast cars and taking baths and piles of money and living in mansions, and that's all great and dandy, but that doesn't make you an entrepreneur. There are rich people that are not entrepreneurs. Being an entrepreneur is about being resilient. It's about being everlasting and able to pursue and go forward regardless of the circumstance and or situation. Entrepreneurship is about survival and about taking a problem and making it better. And I think a lot of people today, they want to call themselves quote unquote entrepreneurs because they're out there hustling and they're working hard and all this great stuff. But then they go and they take the check and they blow it on rims for the new car. You know what I mean? Like, that's not entrepreneurship. That's not how it works. And I'll tell you what, there are people that work full-time jobs. They work those 9 to 5s, and they are entrepreneurs, but they're entrepreneurs within their companies. They're trying to innovate new ways to make things more efficient. They're trying to uplift the people that are around them. They see something that's wrong in the company, and they don't wait to be told to go and fix it. They go and they fix it. That's an entrepreneurial spirit. That's what entrepreneurship is about. It has nothing to do with money. And like I see these memes and these people that put these posts out there that says, hustle to your bank account looks like a phone number. And yeah, that's funny. I love it. That's right. It's humorous, but I think sometimes with all of that being pushed out there, we're telling our generations behind us and the kids behind us, we're sending them the wrong message. We're telling them that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, then you're going to be rich. That's not always the case. Some of the greatest entrepreneurs out there died broke because what they were doing was so far ahead of their time that by the time it caught on and made any real money, they were already dead. So I really wish that we could find a way to not dilute what a real entrepreneur is and get a true definition of that and get that message across, because I feel like that alone will help toughen our societies and toughen our people. You said it exactly right. Before there was currency and back in the day, Ma and Pa built a log cabin. They had a couple of kids. They grew their own food. They hunted for their own meat. They cooked it in their stove. They were self-sufficient. That's entrepreneurship. That's the real deal. That's what it is. Now, I'm not saying we should all go out with bows and arrows and start, killing wild turkeys outside, but we have to kind of take a step back and start focusing on what's really important. Don't get me wrong. I love nice things. I like money. I do. I'd be crazy if I didn't. There's a lot of great things that currency can do for me and my family. Do I have desires to be financially independent? Yes. I have a vision board of all the nice things that I want in life, but those things will never, ever come before my purpose and my goals. They won't. I will not sacrifice who I am for $1. It won't happen, So I think that if we continue to focus on being of purpose, like I said before, and and being resilient, and then spreading that message across the globe and setting the right example for the kids of tomorrow, we got a shot. You know, we're gonna be okay.
Hmm. Well, and I think just to linger upon that point, I mean, the proof is there in human history. I mean, so I mean, it can be very easily argued that some of the most entrepreneurial people, whether it's in science, arts, music, whatever it be, those people tend to, all they want to be doing is left alone. I mean, like some of the greatest people that I've ever met and some of the greatest minds, they just what you wouldn't even know. They live in almost like shabby conditions, in shabby clothes, and all they want to do is just be locked away doing what they desire to do. And this is what I'm saying. It's the same with what I was speaking upon earlier on. It was just the guys selling, PCP out on the streets. All they want to do is get the money to get the desire. They want to have basically their desires they're fed. And one of the things I think you're really speaking upon, I think this is the other real white elephant that I think really needs to be, like say, the light needs to be turned upon. So this is a virtue that needs to be pointed out. Is a very thing, because what makes somebody, like I say, the great genius who's able to live in his cabin and live the life he wants to do, is because he's built up exactly what you spoke upon, this virtue of human karma, for but want of a better word, how you treat people. And this is the thing: you can have all the money in the world and. Dude, this is what I love about. I mean, I'm old enough to see. I've seen all these. So, I mean, I keep going back to rap music, but rap or metal music, all that music industry around. I used to love, and I saw all these guys, and they went through the time. They were like you're saying, they were buying the cars and the rims, and they were like everywhere. And then you look at them now. Go to Google, and you think, oh yeah, died, dead,
yep,
in jail, dead, broke, bankrupt, dead, no, playing some tour with some band, dead, and you think exactly it's short lived. But the person that we're all inspired, and then what we're all trying to get to is just like you said, do what we love. Whatever it may be, and you get that. And you said when you spoke about it, it's like extending that family. So, for instance, okay, if you have a broken leg or you go through some sort of issue, you'll be allowed because of the what you built up, the status and what you've given out. Your people around you go, yeah, Joe, you take as long as you want off, dude. You have 6 months off, man. We understand that. Now, if you treat everyone around you like for a great British word, like a wanker, and you go, hey, I've got money, and you just, you bought them all drinks and stuff, and suddenly your big posse of people like, hey, Joseph, man, the minute your bank account gets to zero, and then you say to them, oh, help me out, they're like, where have you all gone? Whoosh, like wind. And I've been through that experience. I've learned in my times. I've had people who all call me friends, and then the shit hits the fan, you're down to like 5 people, and they're the 5 people that stick with you all your life, man. And that's what it comes down to, building that family, which is what we all need to learn. It's a simple lesson. You don't need money for it. You don't need to have a big bank account. It's just treating people honestly how you'd want to be treated yourself, which is something, I'm not being funny, but my grandma told me that. It's not my lesson. It's not your lesson. This is a lesson as old as humankind. Treat other people as you want to be treated yourself.
It's simple. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's simple and it's common sense. It's just not common practice, and sad. In a lot of ways it is sad. But you're absolutely right when you talk about there's gonna be crowds of people that'll, hey man, I got your back and blah 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 and all that great stuff. But when the shit does hit the fan, you're standing with your brothers in arms. And I understand that specifically. I understand that from experience. I mean, even with our company now, I mean, we're just recently coming out of a very, very tough, troublesome time. Very, very tough, very, very difficult. And between employees and customers and friends, we found out pretty quick who really is, here for us and who really is just here for the ride when it's convenient, So that's definitely true. And I feel in our company, we've kind of designed a place where, our employees and these guys, they can call it home and they can feel at home. And we allow them to enjoy as many of the benefits from what we do as me and my wife. I say we, I'm talking about me and my wife. Whatever benefits we have through our company, our guys have too, because we want them to feel like it's theirs too. The company's young and it's something that we're growing, and we want them to feel like they're growing with it. You know, we don't know what the next 5, 10, 15 years looks like. You know, the people that I have at my side now could be the managers and of the system when, you know, I'm away. I don't know. They could be the owners by the time I'm done, for all I know. But the one thing I know is that we treat them with love and kindness, and we always make sure that we try to put their needs before anything. Now, it's you know, it's a thin line between helping and then just being taken advantage of, and we know the difference between that. But again, our purpose in what we do is to make sure that, first of all, we keep our employees happy, because I know if I keep my employees happy, that they're going to be able to keep my customers happy. And then we make sure that our company is focused on filling a void in our area. So with us, with Fresh Start, the hauling company, our focus is on, and it's so funny, on the old school contractor. So the manly man, that guy that was on his knees, you know, forever doing demo and doing this and that. Those guys, they're getting tired. They shouldn't work anymore. They don't want to do the hard stuff. They just want to do the finished work. They want to go in and they want to create. So my company, we take that away. We go and we do the demo. So we say, hey, old school contractor, I know you're tired. I know you feel like if you got to do more demo, you're gonna have to cut it short in life. So we want to contribute. We found our niche, so we're able to contribute and help them and make a living doing that, and be a part of something beautiful being created. You know how many homes we've gone in and we've done demolition inside, and then we're able to see a finished product after the contractor's done, and they're beautiful. And so that sense of pride and that purpose is right there for me and for my guys to see and to enjoy. And that's going back to what I was talking about before. You've got these drug dealers, you've got guys running guns, you got guys that are just easy stuff. It's all about a sense of purpose. Some of the workers that I have for me now, they have horrible backgrounds as far as getting into trouble and doing crazy stuff. And people, when they first came along, there were people that told me, don't hire that guy. He's no good. Don't hire that guy. He's this, that, and the other. We gave them a sense of purpose. We showed them that they can do more with their lives and just be destructive, you know? And now they're starting to shave more. They're starting to take showers. They want to buy better cars. They want to take care of the kids. They want, you know what I mean? So that's what it starts off with. And I think that it's just a simple thing. It's just very, very basic. You give a man work, you give a man purpose, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, and do you know what you speak upon then? I think this is, there's an old adage about like every comedian wants to be a rock star. And do you know what I've always said? And my son, again, I speak upon, he's in the building trade. And I always say to him, he's always fascinated by what I do as an artist. Like, wow, I'm fascinated how you process them. And I always say to him, do you know what? I would give all my art skills away to do what you're doing, because the great thing is, okay, my art will just fade, but what you're building will be left. And I think that's that's what I love about any guys that build stuff, whether they build ships and houses and
Right.
stuff. I mean, your legacy's there for millions to see. Me as an artist, I'll be lucky if maybe 400 people in my lifetime get to see my piece of art. People drive past what you're doing every day, or they live in it. You're the true artist. That's what. And this is the thing. This all goes back to perceptions, like we were talking about this whole conversation. We've got men who go, oh, like you said, the average Joe. No, what those guys in your cleanup doing when they're demolition, recreate, they're the artists. They're doing nothing different from what I'm doing. They're starting off with a blank canvas, going in there and redoing it all, or demolition. It's an art form, and this what I'm saying. So even maybe the language needs to change. Instead of just being you're just a demolition guy, no, you're a creative guy who's going there and showing his passion in a creative way, because it is a creative skill.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm trying to say. This is where I think the power of these conversations can happen, because we can start to break. See, and I don't want to relate this too much to my son, but you can imagine he went through the whole schooling system, and all he was told was like, go to university, go and do some arts degree, doing this, and he was like, no, I like to build with my hands and stuff, you know. That's and now he's exactly the same. He's raking in. He's the one that's driving around with a car because all the years they've been sitting around doing their arts degrees, getting into debt. He's been out there grafting and earning money, and this is like. And this is the thing, and that's the point, because he's followed, like you say, he followed his purpose, and as you said, he's now understood. That's all that money does. It just gives you that thing of like, oh, it gives you what you put in, it gives you your achievement, and all that happens is, and this is a great thing, the more you do those things, you either, like you said, you settle in and enjoy your job, or you go, do you know what, I can do this better, and you do what you do. Right. And you start, and the entrepreneurial brain kicks in. But you're never going to get that if you don't kick in and do something. And that's just what I'm saying. And I think a lot of men particularly go, well, I don't want to go and sit there and clean out a factory because it's below me. And you think, no, there's an art form in that. And if not, you'll learn something. And do you know the other thing that really plays into this as well? We got into this mindset of culture that goes, oh, well, you know, I'm not going to go do this because it's lowly and pommy. And it's like, you know, these jobs, the McDonald's and all that, you know, they're only there to get you beyond to do something else. You know, that's why I started working in the supermarket. It's there to get you, you're not meant to stay. I mean, that's the point. The whole point of a supermarket job is, I don't, like, for instance, I'll give you a perfect example. When I go down to my local supermarket, I don't expect to, in 3 years' time, see the same cashier serving me. And if I do, I look at it and think, well, what's going on there? You've got no ambition. Because these places are just meant to be the starting point. But we've got these, particularly amongst men, they've fluffed up, as you spoke upon, this pride of because of the internet and all this. And it's like, but then reality kicks in. It's like, how are you going to earn your dollar? Well, I'm not going to go down to McDonald's. I'm not going to do this, so I'll go and do the easy route. Whereas actually, instead of that being a bad thing, like you say, oh, I'm not going to go smash a house up and do that demolition work. It's manual. That's below. It should be seen as an art form, just as being an artist is an art form. And it's all about the language. And that's what I love about what you're doing. You're just making those small chips away, but those small chips is going to bring down the whole edifice that is this whole thing. And that's what I really find inspiring about what you're doing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, I definitely, you know, to go into more what you're saying about these people who are not utilizing stepping stones, you're absolutely right. I mean, even with the grocery store or a McDonald's or whatever is considered to be quote unquote a lowly job nowadays, to me, it's total BS. I personally know guys who started working in the fast food industry and went from cooking fries and flipping burgers to managing places to being, you know, having their own divisions. You know what I mean? No matter where you are, no matter where you're at, what you're doing, there's always an opportunity to go up. Always. It's a matter of if you're willing to see clearly enough to get to that opportunity to go up. That's the biggest thing. I feel like in today's society, especially, people only look at things at face value. They look and they say, here's the wall. This is as far as I can go. Even though there are 1,000,001 voices around that saying you can go further, they say, here's the wall, this is as far as I can go. That's so not true. There's so much opportunity nowadays, more than ever, to create something or to be a part of something being created. That is not, it's ridiculous. And I don't think people really understand how valuable they can be. Me being a business owner, the more effective, the more trained, and the more of an entrepreneurial spirit that my employees have, the better my business will be, point blank. So if my guys come in and they say, oh, I'm just a grunt, and I just do labor, that's not the mentality that I want them to have. I want them, exactly like you said, to understand that there's value in their position. But the value is not monetary. It has nothing to do with money. It's about principle. It's about honor. It's about respect. It's about just being able to do your job to the best of your ability. I've never worked in I've never worked for any company when I used to work for somebody else that I did not work my way up to a manager or to some sort of management position. And what would happen was I would start in entry level. I would take pride in my job. Somebody in management would notice. They would take me under their wing and they would guide me through the process. And the next thing you know, I'd be a manager. And then I would get bored. And then I would go to the next company. I would do the same thing. So about after my 4th company, I realized I'm just not meant to work for somebody else. Point blank. That's what I realized. And so I went and I started my own. Now, there are some people out there that can work for somebody else. My father-in-law has been working for the same company for 31 years. When he tells me that, I just want to blow my brains out because I'm like, I couldn't imagine myself being in the same building with the same people, whether there's new people coming and going for 30. I couldn't do it, especially if it's not mine. You know what I mean? But that's okay, because even that man has an entrepreneurial spirit. That man goes to work every single day. He's in a managerial position, and he's always constantly trying to figure out new ways to be more efficient in his company and do it a better way. And then he comes home, he works on small engines, you know what I mean? He lawnmowers, whatever, works on small engines, he fixes them up and he sells them. You know, he creates these furnace things out of propane tanks that are works of art. That's an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? That spirit is there. It's not the guy that figured out some cockamamie scheme to sell 1 million units of something, and now it's no longer even thought of, and now he's driving on a Ferrari. To me, that's not an entrepreneur. That's a salesman. Anybody can be a salesman. Yeah, sales is a part of entrepreneurship, but just being a salesman doesn't make you an entrepreneur. So, I mean, again, I don't want to continue to repeat myself or go on in circles. I strongly believe that we need to start training these kids to forget about money, focus on a purpose and a code and a principle, and pursue that and attack that by any means necessary.
And this goes back to really maybe this is where we can wind up this conversation, because this is where, again, I mean, if you I use a perfect example. I mean, if I was to ask particularly anybody what, define me an entrepreneur, and then instantly they're going to think like Richard Branson, Bill Gates, some stuffy white guy in a cardigan who's going to go, and it's like, no. Again, I go back to, that's what I'm saying. It was, I'm sure at the time, if I'd asked Big L in 1989 or something and saying, he wouldn't even have thought that some kid in UK would have been listening to him. And this is the thing about it. And what I love about what you're doing, this is what I'm saying, and I've been with Bill Rowe, it's, if I was to listen to this conversation, I'd be like, oh, I can relate to Joe's. I can relate to him. He's not the stuffy Bill Gates guy who's been born with $1 million in his hands. He's just, okay, this is so powerful, because this is what's always frustrated me to me. Joseph, you shouldn't be speaking to me, man. You should be on CNN every single night. You should be on your local TV station in Massachusetts, and they should be begging at your door and saying, this is what, the guys in my local city need to be seeing. They need to be seeing on a daily level, not some guy who lives 1,000 miles away, but some guy who's in the local area. This is a guy you can all relate to. This is what I love about what you're doing. But it shouldn't be me you're talking to. And that's what frustrates me. But hey, if we're the ones that's got to do it, hey, that's how rap happened. That's how all these things happened. It takes us, as you said, it takes us from the bottom, step by step by step by step by step. But do you know the great thing about doing that? It's like building a house. When you do it step by step, it's the old thing. There was an old song I used to sing, because I come from a religious background. There used to be a song I used to sing. The wise man built his house upon the rock. The foolish man built his house upon the sand. And when the rains came down, the sand, it flooded the sands away and his house fell down. But the man who had built his house upon the rock, whose house stood firm. And that's what I've always stood in my mind. Like all these Ponzi schemes and get rich quick things, and it's all house on the sand stuff.
That's right.
But the slow building on the rock, man, it'll always win through. And
that's right.
I may never get to it. I may get to 98 years old, 99, 100 years old, and I may never get to see it. But as you said earlier on, this is the important bit. That's not. I'm not going to be sitting around going, hey, we've won, because there's never going to be a hey, we've won day. The hey, we won day is getting up tomorrow morning. That's going to be the hey, I've won. I'm up tomorrow morning. What can I affect tomorrow? That's the hey, I've won day.
That's right. Well, this is show 158. What episode
It's
is
now
this?
2. Yep, 158, my man.
So this is episode 158. I say you're building one hell of a foundation, my friend. You're doing a great job, and I mean, I got to be honest, and to be a part of what you're building is, I mean, it's a complete honor to me. I mean, I much respect for what you're creating, and I know that this is just the tip of the iceberg for what's going on over there in the UK, and I cannot wait till we can get more of the influence over on the America side, the USA side. So again, I tip my hat to this whole setup, this whole. I mean, man, I don't even know what to call it now. I mean, 158 episodes. That's like, 10 seasons, 15 seasons. You're doing a great job,
Well, dude,
man.
I mean,
Keep it up.
no, I mean, I think on this one, and I think, like you said, I think we just wrap it up on this. I think we're at this very infancy, and sometimes it frustrates me that I just try to point. I always try to go to people that inspire me and point the way. And what I think one of the things that, as much as that, it really inspires me, and it's all I get really inspired. But equally the duality of that, I get frustrated. I think, oh, we're still living in these times where if only these people, if everyone just connected up. Like you must sit in your head and think, oh, if everyone I knew just connected up, the world would be a better place. And we're just going to make those steps, because once we do connect us all up, we are unstoppable. That's without a doubt, man. That we are unstoppable. Well, before we do finish this up, where can people find out? Where can they be pointing towards you? Where can they connect with you?
They can always just find me on Facebook, Joshua Silva, or if they want to check out the Clique page, that's facebook.com Clique, the number 4 ever. That'll bring them right to the Entrepreneurs Clique page. You can email me if you want, silva.joshua82@gmail.com, or the eclickfamily@gmail.com. Those are the best ways to get in touch with me. And one of the biggest things right now is I am strongly focused on trying to reach beyond the United States borders. Not that I've by far in any way conquered anything I need to conquer over here, but I would love to learn a little bit more about what happens and what goes on overseas, and what the struggles are out there, and what the views are from some entrepreneurs out that way, like yourself. So anybody that wants to reach out, please do so. And we're going to continue the fight that we got going on over here. We're going to continue to build young entrepreneurs and teach them how to do the same, and grow and continue to live a quality, valued life.
Well, just before we do go, just on that one, you gave, obviously mentioned Facebook and Twitter. I know particularly, I was asked this after the last time we had a conversation. Do you have a LinkedIn page?
I do have a LinkedIn page. I'm not sure what my actual address is to it, but I think they could just search me as Joshua Silva. I don't know what the direct LinkedIn link is, but maybe I could send it to you after. You can attach it to the bottom of the thing. Perfect. Well, Joshua, it's been absolutely, as every time. I think tonight through this conversation, we kind of maybe we got to the bottom of a few things. Not maybe we did swim out to the murky depths in some other areas, but it was a very insightful conversation. So well, as ever, it's been a really insightful one. And well, for me over here in Scotland and away from Massachusetts, man, it's life is people. Oh, nice.